Okay, so good evening. And this is the continuation of our discussion that we have had last time in the different learning theories in respect to facilitating learning inside our classroom. So previously we have discussed already on the constructivism, behaviorism, of which we have noted several differences of the two. That one which we have, say, for example, in the aspect of constructivism, we noted that learners actually create and develop their own construction of knowledge based on the experiences and on things that they reflect upon after they have experienced those things. So that is the concept of constructivism. We have differentiated as well the differences of traditional classroom and constructivist classroom. We have noted also the different differences in the traditional classroom in respect to the resources. That in traditional classroom, usually we have the materials utilizing only textbooks or workbooks. But in constructivist classroom, we are utilizing manipulative materials or materials that which learners can actually touch, learners can actually move and manipulate for them to really experience how it is to learn utilizing all of their senses. In traditional classroom also, learning is based on repetition, while in constructivist, learning is interactive. They actually build on what they already know. Also, teachers' role is directive, rooted in authority, and assessment is through testing and through correct answers. But in tradition, in constructivist classroom, teachers' role is actually interactive, and assessment includes student work such as observation, points of view, as well as tests or processes as is as important as product. That's why most, if you are utilizing classroom in the constructivist perspective, we are more into performance based or we are more into authentic assessment. Assessments where are more into application of their knowledge, transfer of the learner in the real life situation or scenario. Also, it was noted that in traditional classroom, knowledge is seen as inert, and in constructivist classroom, knowledge is seen as dynamic, ever changing with our experiences. Another learning theory is behaviorism, as proposed by several proponents. We have noted that one of which is John B. Watson. He mentioned that he can actually take a look and make a healthy infants well informed and they can specify a particular world with them, meaning he can develop the child the way he want them to be as long as they are actually um, trained, conditioned in a certain behavior. According to Pavlov, proponent of the classical conditioning, in classical conditioning, we noted that a technique of which we try to manipulate or try to condition or give a repeated stimulus, neutral stimulus, naturally occurring, of which the learner will be able slowly to accept it as seem to be his or her own behavior. So na ano siya, na condition siya into that particular um, activity or task, and with that he eventually learns on and perform or do it on his own. And eventually kaya niya na, nga siya na lang, he learned, he can do it on his own. So that is the concept of classical conditioning. We have here a dog and a bell, so it's part of the experiment. And when we talk about classical conditioning, another behaviorist, another proponent of behaviorism is the P.F. Skinner or Borges Friedrich Skinner in the context of operant conditioning. He noted that, and we talk about operant conditioning, it's like the same with classical conditioning. It's just that in operant conditioning, merong element ng punishment and reinforcement. And last time we made mention the differences of positive reinforcement, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, negative punishment. So positive punishment, if you do this, I will include something. I will do more. Dugangan ko imo balon kung magtaas imo grade. So positive reinforcement. Positive punishment, on the other hand, wanted to decrease the behavior. So there is a positive punishment, meaning mas damo ka tulunan, damo imo tun-an kay nubo imo grado. So it's on a positive note, but it looked like a punishment. Okay, so the stimulus is positive. Something is added. That's why if we think of an operant conditioning, positive stimulus, we connect it with the word additional. Something is added either to reinforce or something is added in order to punish a certain subject or our learner. However, if we talk about negative stimulus, something is removed. May ginakuha. For example, in a learner nagnuboy grado ginkuha a cellphone. That is negative reinforcement to increase the behavior of studying. So a particular component is removed on the end of the learner para magtuon siya. Negative punishment, something as well as removal of something to decrease that behavior. For example naman niya, ginkuhaan siya or ginbuhinan iya nga balon para madiretso sa puli sa balay. Kay the undesirable nga behavior is wala siya nga puli sa balay, kay may extra money pa siya, so on and so forth. So that is the negative punishment. Okay? So this is all in all the idea of operant conditioning. The next model that we have to talk about is the social cognition learning theory. Here, he asserts that culture is the prime determinant of individual development, and it makes two contributions to the child development. Number one, the culture. Second, the surrounding culture. Culture talks about how the child acquire much of the content of their thinking, connecting it to their knowledge. What do I know? What what kind of information do I get from my environment or from what I know right now? Okay, that's through culture. Meaning, when we talk about culture, it talks about life, the everyday life of the child. And if we put it in the context of the school or sa classroom, the moment the moment that the child goes out of the house, culture already begin. So, masakay siya sa tricycle, pwede na yung mga classmate, naog siya, sakay, or masulod siya sa gate. Pag sulod siya sa gate, diin siya kadrit. So, it's part of the culture. The everyday life of the child sa eskwelahan, first period, second period, recess, then third period, fourth period, the lunch, afternoon period, so on and so forth. That is culture. And through this culture, children, according to this model, acquire much of content of their thinking and knowledge. Gaka-acquire nila nga, ay, amo ni gali. Sa amo ni gali nga school, mag-recess sila. This is what they do. So they learn. They learn something. They acquire something. Nga, kung first period, gali, gaamo sini. So like us in Catholic schools, in the afternoon, the 15-minute, there is prayer or rosary. 1 to 1:15. So that's part of school culture. And so on the mind of the child, dapat ka pray. That's why parents would most often would send their children or their students in Catholic schools. The number two or the second is the surrounding culture. Here provides a child with the processes or means of their thinking. Surrounding culture means there is now an entity. Kaginaya, ang bata lang ya ang learn on his or her own based sa iya nga observation. The second is the surrounding culture. May entity ni. There is someone teaching him or her about a particular topic, how to learn, how to process it. Perhaps the parent, okay? Perhaps the teacher. Like at home, who are the ones teaching and telling the kids or the children that this is bad? Who are the ones telling the students or the children that this is good? This is morally correct. This is ethically wrong. It's the parent. So the surrounding culture provides a child with how to think and or their means of their thinking. Okay? So that's the idea of social cognition model. Contributors to the process of cognitive development of children. Number one, social interaction in connection to social cognition model or social cognition learning model. That's why ang mga bata, as much as possible, we have to expose them. Okay, when we have kids, we have to make them and allow them to be exposed with the other children or that with the adult. And also most of them, they have imaginative play. That's why kung may mga bata kamo sa inyo balay hinablos bata pakaisa among others, they seem to have their own friend. because they are trying to make sense of their idea of the world. Sometimes they have a toy. This is Mara, this is Clara, and then they will talk with one another. And then sometimes mapalapit ka as a parent or an adult, then they would introduce, "Hi, this is Mara, this is Clara, this is what they do, this is what they do. These are the things that characterizes these doll or these toys." So this is the idea of social cognition theory. The children on their own actually creates their own. It seems like they have their own way of interacting with themselves in a way that they learn based on the model that they actually have in their environment. So they have this collaborative dialogue. That's why the child will observe the behavior of the tutor. The tutor, we're not talking here, but na may struggle siya or someone nga nagatudlo sa but the tutor means someone telling or teaching him or her about the concept. Kutsara ni, tinidor ni, amo ni magkaon, amo ni chinelas, amo ni so on and so forth. After they have observed that, at a certain age, they will emulate. Sundo nila. Okay, sundo nila. And they are going to apply this in his own or in his own life. Gina-apply nila ang ilan na-observe. They need someone who is more knowledgeable others, something or someone that they can learn. And according to Lev Vygotsky, what a child can do today is actually based on the assistance that he or she will be able to do by herself tomorrow. So we are talking about social cognition model. Social means he needs the environment, the learner needs the environment to learn. Tuloko niya, ma-observe niya, ang in-observe niya, i-apply sa iya nga real life. And he learns. Okay? That's why he needs to have someone, most probably a learned individual. Along with the social cognition model, we have the zone of proximal development. Here, the zone of proximal development is actually like a circle. A small circle is the small idea of the child, the learner right now. And as the time progresses, as the learner learns better about his or her own world, paired with a knowledgeable adult, he learns. And ang ina nga zone nagadako, halin sa gamay, nagadako siya. So we call it zone of proximal development. Na ang iya nga nabalaan, the way that he learns actually grows, it strengthens, it gets better. So we call it ZPD, a scaffolding that helps a child develop the skills necessary to communicate on his own. And along with that, as Maid mentioned last time, we have this concept of imaginative play, wherein ang iya nabalaan, ginabutang niya sa iya context. That's why sa mga bata, kita may ara, kita mga balay-balay. Ikaw nanay, ikaw tatay, galuto siya. Kakaon-kaon ka mo. Because that's the idea of how we put our observation, the learner's observation, how do we make meaning out of the things that we actually put into the real life. Children often create role play activities sa lingko, gabalay-balay sila. They also sometimes create their own story. And so with this, Vygotsky noted that this is an external language the children hear and imitate, and they internalize during imaginative play. Now, what is it in our classroom? It impacts our classroom because number one, in our curriculum, we need interaction. Okay, we need interaction. Meaning we need our learner, our learner needs to interact with either you as the teacher or them with their classmates, with their environment. And interaction does not only end with the learner himself, with other people. Interaction can also happen, the learner with the book, the learner with the learning resource material, the learner with the gadget, the learner with the Google, the learner with the TikTok, the learner with. So as long as the learner and another entity designed part of the curriculum, the task that we give, the activity that we provide, connects it all together, weaving into the idea of social cognition. So in a curriculum, kinanglan, may interaction siya. Hindi lang siya sa iya kaugalingon, hindi lang siya sa iya mga classmate, but also with the environment. That is why in our classroom, way back, we have this, may mga poster. Tanan ng mga something like about in the Philippines, in our country, national flower, national hero, president of the country. Almost below nga part sang room is a learning opportunity for the learner. Because that's part. Okay, that's part. Even the learning tasks, the activities. Okay, group yourselves into 2, into 4. We call that learning tasks. Okay. The second also is the instruction, the teacher, the adult supervision. Children can perform tasks that they are incapable completing on their own. They cannot. They cannot perform tasks if they don't have that capacity. And our instruction, meaning we instruct them to do what are they going to do, and they can perform it on their own. So we're taking a look into instruction as a strategy of which they can teach. Oh no, of which as a teacher can teach and the learner learns. Okay, so that's in the context of social cognition model or theory. The teacher also has this concept of ZPD or scaffolding, wherein ang bata tudloan mo anay modeling, ikaw anay, and then slowly pabayaan mo siya, buhian mo siya, na siya na lang. Okay? Tuluan mo siya, 1 plus 1. And then, slowly, kabalo na siya nga, 1 plus 1 is equals 2. And that the next is 2 plus 2 is equals to what? So that is what we call ZPD, scaffolding. We only teach them the basics and then eventually they would learn. The third is assessment. Here, methods target both the level of actual development and the level of potential development. That's why we have varying types of assessment. Meron tayong summative assessment, formative assessment, we have diagnostic assessment, meron pa tayong district assessment, diba? We have college admission test. All of these tests actually try to take a look into what are the actual development. Nasaan na yung learner after ng discussion mo? At ano pa yung kayang gawin ng learner or ano yung mga mahihinang parte ni learner after your discussion. So this is under the social cognition learning theory that is actually impacting our teaching and learning process. The next theory that we have is information processing theory. Here, the idea is information made available by environment is processed by a series of processing systems, such as attention, perception, short-term memory. These processing systems transform or change the information into systematic ways and aim of research to specify processes and structures that underlie cognitive performance. So if we talk about information processing theory, from the input from the information, nagasulod siya sa short-term memory. And then, kung hindi meaningful, hindi sulit-sulit, hindi siya repeated na ginatudlo sa bata, eventually it will be lost. It will be displaced. But if the child had continuously been exposed to the idea of this practice, for example, may tudlo ka sa bata, nasulit-sulit mo, and then they keep on doing it, eventually it will be transcribed or given to long-term memory that they can now remember on their own. So that's the idea of information processing theory in a nutshell. Meaning there is a model. The concept encompasses the ideas of internal processes that sometimes we ignore by the predominant behaviorist. But this is the idea of an information processing model. Look at that, from the attention we seize, we select what we give attention into, we are curious, we contribute, and we committed to learn. So it actually trims down. It trims down. So the way we process attention, like even you right now, you are just listening to me, but you cannot get all of the things that I'm trying to say. So what we usually do is either we revisit the recording, we go back to the slide, and we write down notes, because that is how we try to trim down and make sense of the things. So that's the concept of information processing theory. Here, it includes critical evaluation. The processing models assume that serial processing of stimulus inputs includes serial processing and parallel processing. So serial processing means one process has to be completed before the other. Kinanglan amo ni anay before ang next. Parallel, on the other hand, dungan assumes that some processes involve cognitive tasks occur at the same time. So we can have dichotic listening tasks, we have ignored inputs and attended inputs. For example, online class ka, tapos may nag-istorya da sa imo. So which is which? To whom are you going to give your attention into? Okay. So that's the idea of information processing. And we have also the concept of critical evaluation, the analogy between human cognition and computer functioning adopted by information processes approach. But here, usually, in siya is the compare natin ang human brain and computer functions. Okay? That's why we have details there. So what is it? What is the implication of this one? First, we have to take a note that when we teach, the memory stores are extremely limited. Tandaan ta nga, hindi kaya sang brain or sang memory or sang mind sang bata, kwaon tanan, hindi tanan. Okay? Second, kinanglan may prior knowledge. Meaning, kabalo siya kung anong imo ginastorya. What is it that you're about to talk about? The third implication is that automated processing increases as cognitive efficiency by reducing information processing demands. Meaning, present only one, two, three concept, then that's it. Do not overload the mind. In meaning, we reduce the information processing demands, and then we trim down, we choose, and we select only what is more important or most important for on the end of the learner. And the last, we make strategies how to make and improve our information processing because learners are more efficient and process information at a deeper level if we are making sense and changing our strategies over time. The last is actually Gestalt psychology. Gestalt psychology has something to do with the idea or shape or form or perception of things. We will just have this one in passing. So Gestalt psychology was proposed by Marx, Wertheimer, Wolfgang Kohler, and Kurt Kofa, which is looking into the perceptual processes, meaning our perception of things vary as we have different experiences. So we have here a set of pictures that looks like just a normal picture, but if you take a look into and you are a person of sense or meaning, you would understand and have deeper you may put a deeper meaning on it. Okay, like that. This one. Also this one. So when we talk about Gestalt psychology, we are looking into actually the loss of perception. So looking into the creative thought, meaning the idea here is when we also teach and when we try to teach learners, how do we do that is we have to follow several principles in Gestalt psychology. Number one, yung mga when we talk about proximity, magkakalapit. So the ideas that are close with one another should be taught in one set. Okay? So if you're talking about nouns, you should be talking about noun. If you're talking about a much or next complicated concept, we should also teach noun before pronoun. Like in math, teach first subtraction, or teach first addition, then subtraction, and then multiplication, then so something like that. So begin first with what is the simple, okay? What is the simplest idea? Also, law of similarity, meaning lessons that are actually similar or familiar can be into set of units. I-group natin. Then another topic, another unit. Another topic, another unit, and so on and so forth. Okay? So if concepts are familiar, concepts are similar, we put it in one idea. The law of continuity, all right, we have their examples. You can just check that. The law of continuation, of good continuation, means before we go back to our next discussion or before we proceed to the next discussion, ginabalikan ta, anay, ang previous na nga discuss. Okay? So that means we are having a good review before para ma-recall ni learner. Just like what we did in this video. We went back to the previous discussion for you to recall what we have had last time. And we have this one, the law of closure as well. Meaning, when concept or topic is incomplete, that means it isn't closed. For example, nagtapos ta klase, sino nagligad online, pero wala natapos. So, kinanglan, i-closure ta. Meaning, sumpunan ta. Review, sumpunan. Okay? So, we have to do that as well in our classroom. The last is the law of pregnance. states that when things are grasped as wholes, the minimal amount of energy exerted. In short, we have to make our lesson holistic, complete, and most of all, simple. Hindi pwedeng, hindi pwedeng, ano siya, utay-utay or utod-utod, but it should be holistic, all in all, in totality, and at the same time simple that it can be understood by your learners. So these are our different learning theories. And the next performance test that you will have is you have to answer this one and you have to send it or give it to me. You have to choose one learning theory and answer the following questions. Okay, that's going to be our paper number 2. Thank you so much for your time. God bless. Keep safe. And I hope to see you around.